Hi, welcome back to In the Groove, and I am Dr. Alicia Acey, and I am here with Dr. Patrick O'Connor, college counselor and author of College is Yours in 600 Words or Less, which I again have to say is one of the best college counseling books I've ever read. And buy it on Amazon.
Yep, Amazon.com or through the website as well.
And we'll have it up on our website as well. But I also, speaking of websites, you have a website, or you
Yes.
have a how does that work? I know I get emails from you.
Yep, it's a website with a weekly column. It's collegeisyours.com, and every week there is an updated column on current trends in college advising, college counseling, things for students and parents to think about and talk with each other about. And you can subscribe, just got to go to the website, you can subscribe and it'll be in your email box every Thursday.
Yeah, and I've subscribed just to, a while ago just to see what you were putting out there, and it's so timely, some of the stuff about how to write college essays or, about test scores. And I know Barb has, as we were talking about earlier, a lot of questions, personal questions from your own family.
Oh, sure.
So
I do. And first of all, I'm so glad that you're here with us, because when Alicia told me that her friend was coming, he was a college counselor, said, oh my God, I have 1,000 questions for him. My son's in 11th grade and we're looking at colleges right now.
Oh, that's
and
great.
We have a ton of questions. And the big thing for me is, I know you talked money, but I have 3 children and they are all going to be in college at the same time. They're only 4 years apart, all 3 of them, and they're all headed one right in after the other. And so I have a ton of questions, and how to balance that out, how to spread it out, and where they should go.
And one of the questions I wanted to ask, and I don't know if I think it's something that you and I discussed, was, what matters more, grades or ACT, SAT scores?
Oh, great question. Yeah, clearly grades matter more.
They matter more.
Yep, almost as a rule, every college that asks for test scores looks at that well after grades. The single most important issue is the grades you get and how challenging the classes are you get them in.
And by the way, what's the difference between an ACT and an SAT?
Basically, it's 2 different ways of trying to measure a student's understanding of high school level material and their ability to be prepared for college.
You got to take both?
Nope. Every college in the United States that requires testing, and there are many that do not. That's another thing that I think would be good for you to keep in mind, Barb. There are many colleges in the United States that do not require ACT or SAT tests at all.
Good schools, reputable, accredited.
Yeah, some of the finest schools in the country. Yeah, absolutely.
I'd love to see the list of that.
So, there is. I think there's a link for that on my website as well. But it's about 300-400 schools. But yes, if you take SAT or ACT, you do not have to take the other. In some cases, you'll have to take a special kind of SAT called a subject test, but even then, there are very, very few schools that are requiring that nowadays.
I know when you and I talked about it, you had some questions about community service.
Yeah, and in your book, here my first question is,
Yeah.
a resume. Why do they need a resume?
I thought that was for
you have to have a
grown-ups.
resume to go to college, and on the resume you have to have community service.
It's
you
like
have to
you need
have
to get your
grade
job
point
to do
average.
the job, but you can't get the job
so
until you
how
have
important is a resume, and what goes on a resume?
Well, what I tell students is I don't tell them they need a formal resume to speak of, but what I do tell them to do is, starting in 9th grade, they need to find a notebook and basically write down everything they do outside of school.
Do you know how many 9th graders are doing that?
Not many.
Yeah.
I was going to say, how many adults are doing that?
Well, that's part of it too. No, but that's part of the challenge. Part of the challenge, realistically, is for 9th graders to see that what they're doing now does have relevance in terms of the college process.
I know. Well, after I read your book, and my son plays on the varsity football, and I had read your book, and we were sitting there, and I was telling everybody, I'm sitting there telling all the parents in the crowd, hey, do you know they're supposed to be doing this, and do you know they're supposed to be doing that? And they're like, I had no idea. I actually had several people sign up to your website, log on to it, because I had no idea that in 9th grade that you should be doing that.
Right. Well,
and most parents don't.
But the good news is that, particularly when you're talking about a resume, when we're talking about applying to colleges, we're really talking about community service, clubs that you're in, sports and activities. And what's nice about that is parents have great memories about those things. So if you get to 11th grade and you're like, well, I should have started this 2 years ago.
Yeah, we could always fill in
But
the
I
blank.
think it
There you
speaks
go.
to the point of what you were saying about why you wrote the book in the first place, that college counselors in a given school have a lot on their plates, and they can't really spend the time individually with each family, with each parent, and say, let's get a notebook and write this down and start to,
Oh, there's no question.
Give the direction that, because you were saying, like, where does it say that these things are required? And
right. Well,
and
mostly,
that's a big part of that
even
challenge.
for myself, we never really thought about any college until this year. We knew that this was going to be the year that we were going to start doing that whole college thing. Yeah, of course, we thought about in the back of our mind, okay, do we have enough money to send our kid to college? Do we have enough money to send 3 kids to college?
Right.
And money is a huge factor for us as well, like I said, because we do have 3 kids going to school at the same time. And a question that we talked about is, what happens if kids don't go to college? Like when I was a kid, I'm graduating in the 80s, it was a 50-50, not that,
Right.
Yeah, it wasn't like, there's where are you going to go to college? Are you going to go to college?
Yeah, are you going to go to college?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like if you don't go to college now, like it's not even an option. It's not an option
Or
to not.
and especially go to college, don't get a job anyway. What do you think about vocational trainings?
Yeah.
Well, and certainly, in a tough economy, it's hard to sort that out. But what I can tell you from an employer's perspective is that by and large, they will tend to take employees that have some college or a college degree over those that have just a high school diploma, even in this economy. Now that varies from career to career, but that tends to be the general information.
I know we're running out of time, which I wish we had a whole hour to talk to you and grill you about all these questions. But one of the other ones I have is, what if the difference is between an online degree, even from an accredited institution? I know that they're real.
Yeah.
Or not. Does that make a difference too?
Well, I know that many employers look very closely at online degrees, and very often they give preference to students who may have some online work but have had some work in what we call a face-to-face college as well. It's that interaction with other students.
So
that
it's
makes
still
a big
better
difference.
to go to a real
But by and large, it really is. Unless
your
you're looking for specific training that's really only available online, that's the best way to go, is with some kind of face-to-face. Take online classes, but mix is best.
I really think that sounds great. So,
Well, Dr. O'Connor and Dr. Acey, thank you so much for coming. And
Sure.
We would love to have you back, because I know that we didn't even touch on half the things that we want to talk to you about. So maybe we can plan on having you back again.
And please write into our website on my Facebook public page and ask questions, and I will forward them to Dr.
Absolutely.
O'Connor.
I'll be happy to answer.
And join his group, right?
All right. So this is In the Groove with Dr. Acey, and we will see you next time.
Thanks for being here.